So welcome to another episode of Locked In. In this episode, I'm going to be going over everything that I brought with me on my first weekend bikepacking trip. I'm going to go over the bags, what I brought exactly in each of them, what I liked and didn't like, and maybe what I'm going to change in the future. So if you're new into bikepacking or just want to see someone else's opinion on what to bring for a short trip, stay tuned. So first, let's get into each bag that I brought with me. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen some pictures of the kind of overall bag setup, but I'll place a picture right here so you can see everything that I brought. This is basically the overview of my Poseidon X that I brought with. Now, let's start from the front to the back. Now, in the front, I have a Roadrunner bag. This is the mini jammer, and this is what I put inside of it. Mainly in the main compartment, I wanted to leave it kind of open since we planned on getting some food and snacks kind of right before we got into the area where we're going to be camping, which is about 5 miles off any kind of beaten path you would actually hike or bike up to where we were staying at. So I wanted to leave some spare room in this, but basically what I carried was a set of ready-to-eat meals, since essentially we were only going to be having to eat dinner up at the campsite and breakfast. The reason I liked carrying this, because it does have a great flap in the front to carry some quick access items. Basically, I had my headlight, my assortment of Fix-It-Six bits, a knife, my pump, my spoon, fork, and a quick little first aid kit. And lastly, a small battery charger. As we move back, I did have 2 anything cages mounted to my fixation fork, which is on the Poseidon X. And these bags actually found on Amazon. I'm totally going to butcher the name, so I'm just going to put the link in the description below. But these were very, very lightweight bags, and they actually have its own little teeny mini sack inside of it to stuff it inside so you could store it easily when not used on the bike, or if you wanted to have a bag with you, very easy to carry with. What I had was in one of the bags, which I won't take out right now, is essentially my entire Nature Hike Cloud 2 tent. This includes the mat, the tent body itself, and the fly in the single bag here. Now for the second bag. This one was kind of a mixed bag as far as what I put in there. So first off, I'll show you. So first out of there is my cook pot. This has my burner, the butane, a mini scrubber, a spoon, and a lighter, and a rag all in here. You can kind of hear it jingling around a little bit. I probably should have stuffed a rag below it as well, but this is basically my entire cook system. Next, these were the hardest things to find a place for my bike. This is the tent poles. They are pretty small and they barely make it into this dry bag. It is kind of hard to fold the last roll of it when it's all stuffed together with these in there, but it was kind of the best solution I could think of where to mount these currently with my current bag setup. Next, we have my little Booties. These are an Aegis Max set. I got these because my first camping trip I did, not bike camping, my feet got really, really cold, and they're always kind of known for having bad circulation. So I picked up a set of these. They're basically weigh nothing, and they pack down extremely small. These are great if you do have cold feet. Next, we have my sleeping pad. This is sleeping pad I actually picked up off of Walmart, but I believe you can get this brand anywhere else. It was about 40 bucks. It weighs just about a pound, so it's pretty light for the cost of it. As well as my little Nature Hike pillow is in here as well. And lastly, my tent stakes for my Nature Hike Cloud 2. So that essentially shows you what goes into those dry bags. Again, these are great and I really recommend them. Here's a little bag so you can see it. It all stuffs within that little bit of space, which is awesome, and it's not super difficult to do it. As we move back, you're gonna have my Revelant design top tube bag. This one I really like because it has a quick little strap. This is basically what housed my Osmo Pocket, which I used to film the video that you guys have seen on it, hopefully already, as well as my baggie for my glasses so I could clean them while they got sweaty and dirty on the ride, a little baggie of cables, and this is where I held my smaller of my 2 battery banks as well. As we move down on the frame, you're gonna see we have my Roswell frame bag. Now this was the biggest thing that I had to really debate on. Do I wanna run a full frame bag or not? Since it was a weekend trip, I decided to give this a whirl. And just like my handlebar bag, I left it mostly empty. My buddy Mario let me borrow one of his water bladders he has for his backpack that I basically left in here empty until basically the last possible moment to fill it up so I could carry extra water on the bike but not having to carry excess weight for the first 30 or so miles we had of the ride. On the accessory pouch side here, I had an extra little sample of chamois cream just in case on the return trip I needed some, as well as some chapstick and a set of earplugs and my credit card and ID. This was just so I could easily access it once we stopped for any breaks or wanted snacks or food. I did only carry 1 water bottle on this ride, and I definitely would recommend carrying more water typically, and that's why I had the bladder with me. Since I knew the route that we were doing and we were gonna be able to fill it pretty easily, this 24-ounce Camelback bottle that's insulated was totally just enough. I never ran out of water or needed to refill it during the ride to the camp area. As we move down lower still, we have my tool keg that I ran on the bottom side of the down tube. This was a great item to have. Basically, this is what I had inside of it. I had a little tablet of None, just in case I need some extra electrolytes, a travel size set of toothpaste, and essentially my emergency kit, which consists of a pump. This is a dual style, so this will run threaded and threadless CO2s just in case I needed one and I had to find one at a bike shop or a non-bike shop that carried CO2 cartridges. This one does work with both. As well as my newest purchase, which is a Turbo Lido 275 2.0 to 2.2, I believe, tube. This thing is so light and so small. I haven't physically used it yet, but I decided to bring this on the bike because I needed something smaller to fit inside my tool keg. Lastly, we have my little baggie here. This just keeps everything kind of separated. I have my quick link tool, as well as tire lever, and a spare CO2. Then the baggie that I ran right in front of my seat post, this was a random one I found on AliExpress. It was like $1. It's supposed to be meant to run underneath the down tube, but I flipped it over and it did put the zipper on the bottom side, which was kind of annoying, but didn't really care. I just wanted some extra space and to try the bag out. And essentially all I ran in this bag was a big baggie of trail mix and some dried fruit. Again, depending on how I packed everything, I didn't want to have to access any quick snacks on the bike. I wanted to be able to have everything kind of in its one location. This was great when we made a quick stop if I wanted just to pull something out and kind of munch on if I was over having a fruit bar or any gels on the ride. And lastly, we have my saddle bag. This Roswheel bag actually worked out really, really well. I was super surprised of how well it packed down, as well as how tight I was able to get it, and it didn't really sway much, even though this thing is pretty hefty. So as you can see here, I have my little titanium mug, which I use for water or to put any drinks in if I didn't feel like sipping out of my Camelback. And if we would have brought in coffee, this is what I would have drank it out of. So as we unpack this thing, first we have my little lamp. This is a solar powered unit that I found. It is great because it packs down really small. You can charge it via USB and let it trickle charge during the day in the sunlight, but it made a great little camp light in my tent and out of the tent on the table while cooking at night. Next, we have my little toiletry bag. This has a little bar of soap, face wash bar as well, a toothbrush, and my toothpaste would have gone in here if I would have remembered it and didn't pack it somewhere else. Next, we do have my old performance light fleece jacket. This was essentially something I brought just in case it was a little colder than we expected at night. I could just layer up with this and wear it on the bike if it was cold in the morning when riding out, since we were up in the mountains and I wasn't sure how the temperature was going to be affected. Extra pair of socks, a bandana. This is something I wore on the back of my neck just to keep the sun off of it, even though I did have sunscreen. Since I sweat so much, I wanted to have an extra layer of protection, as well as something I could put over my face if there were a lot of bugs or anything else on the ride. You just never know. Bandanas definitely are worth it and come in handy. I have an extra pair of underwear. I know that's a luxury item, but basically what I did when I went to camp is I took my bibs off, tried to clean them the best I could and then hang dry them, and had some clean boxer briefs to wear around camp. Since I did ride in mountain shorts, I didn't bring any pair of shorts, but I did bring an extra t-shirt as well so that I could, again, air out my jersey so it could dry fully before the next day. And I would like to wear a beanie at night because it does cover my eyes, which, depending on where you're at, if there's people walking around with lights or anything like that, it just helps minimize distraction for me that can potentially wake me up. A set of leg warmers, since I was wearing shorts, didn't know, again, how cold it was going to be. A set of leg warmers is, I think, the easiest, lightest option to bring with you to add warmth and not having to bring, again, a long pair of pants or anything like that. And lastly, in the bottom of this thing, we have my Nature Hike sleeping bag. This was the best place I think I could have put it. I thought about putting it in my front bags, but with everything reconfigured, that was the best spot for it, and stuffing it in the bottom of it fills up that kind of awkward space near the bottom. So that's everything that I brought. Now, something quick to go over with you guys on things that I liked and didn't like and what I want to potentially change. Overall, the setup was great. I think I installed my Roadrunner bag wrong because during some of the harder hits on the descents, once we got into the campground, the front bag tended to rub a little bit. I'm pretty sure that's user error. I'm gonna have to rewatch how to install that bag since it does have a bunch of different latches and buckles and things like that to attach it properly. That was something that I definitely want to rewatch. I use the Salsa Anything cages with their stock straps. I definitely want to get a set of those Volo or Velo, whatever straps instead. Mario had a set of those. They seemed a lot easier and less cumbersome, and since they are rubber and texturized, it seemed like it would hold the bag a lot easier without as much excess straps hanging out like I had with the Salsa Anything. Lastly, my sleeping bag. I was actually very, very warm in this sleeping bag. The only thing was, if I had to use it as an actual sleeping bag and sleep inside of it, it is a little tight for my size and my height. It doesn't necessarily go over my shoulders as tall as I'd want, so I'm gonna look into replacing that. But with it open, since it was a warmer evening and I just kind of use it as a blanket, that totally was fine. But I think I want to find something, especially if it does get any colder, or just find a lighter weight summer one that, again, does fit my body type better. Lastly, I definitely think it's worth possibly for me to look back at my tent setup and look at something possibly lighter from Big Agnes, like the Fly Creek 2 Bikepacking Edition. I think that shaving a couple of pounds out of the tent weight, especially for the front end, I think it would make the bike handle a little better. I was surprised at how well it did handle packed. That's why I didn't go with the sweet roll that I have from Revelant designed this trip. I wanted to see if I could lower the weight on the fork, keeping the handlebars lighter. And I think it did handle a little bit better than I remember when it was set up with the other sweet roll. So that's basically it. I'd love to see your guys' setups. Comment below if you guys have a video of your current setup. I'm always watching these videos from other channels just to get ideas on things to bring or things to swap out and where to spend the money. Camping is ridiculously expensive, just like cycling is. So I definitely try to look for things that are lightweight on a somewhat budget, because unfortunately I can't just go out and buy the lightest ultralight materials stuff that you can get for bike camping or just backpacking in general. So I hope you like this video. Please comment below if you guys have any suggestions or have any feedback based on these videos. I know this is a long talking head style, but there's no other way to really do this. So thanks for watching. Please make sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I post on there almost daily, as well as turn notifications on so you can see all the videos I put out on this channel. I do a video basically once a week, as well as make sure to subscribe so you can help support Locked In. I am trying to do this channel as much as I can and post on here weekly. Fun content for you guys to watch. So thanks for watching another episode of Locked In.